So how can you reunite with your twin flame instantly? This is actually not clickbait. It is possible, but not in the way you're thinking. So you're probably thinking that, I'll share a tip with you, I'll share a strategy or something, you'll do it, and then the next day your twin flame is going to message you. Now, while that is technically possible, most likely it will take a bit of time. Most likely it will not happen instantly tomorrow, but when you get to the right point, if you follow what I'm going to share with you in this video, when you get to that point, because it takes different lengths of time for different people, then it will be instant and it will feel instant. But in order to get to that point, you need to do a few things. So in order for it to be instant, you have to realize that before you meet your twin flame, right? Before you actually physically meet in the real world, you're at this point where you're both at different, you're both, ultimately you still have the same core frequency, right? Deep down, because you're part of the same soul. But your individual frequency in terms of your ego, your mindset, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, these things will most likely be a little bit different. And all it really is that you go through life, you're living these separate lives. You're both living these separate lives, both being influenced by society and programming and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And so this becomes like these layers. I spoke about this in a different video. It becomes like these layers of an onion, which is covering up your true self. So it might be, for example, like your ego thinks that you have to work a certain job to be happy. And so you've been stuck in this really boring job that you don't like, it's not really authentic, it's not truly what you want, but you're just kind of doing it, right? That's an example of one of these layers that is wrapped around your true authentic self, that is stopping your twin flame from contacting you. It's stopping you from reuniting because it's not truly you. It's like this barrier that you've put, or that society or someone has put between you, your true authentic self, and your twin flame. And what's difficult is your twin flame also has these layers, right? And they also need to work on removing those layers. The beautiful thing about the twin flame journey is that usually, the vast majority of the time, when one twin flame, when one of them starts to peel back these layers and work on themselves and do the work, usually at pretty similar times, the other person will also have this urge to start peeling these layers back and doing the work and stuff like that. So for instance, with me and Julia, we, for most of our lives, starting at roughly the same time in our lives, had this very big interest in personal growth and development and improving ourselves, pushing our comfort zones, becoming better, looking at our shadow side, all of these things. And so as a result, when we did meet, it was a very short running stage after that, and we were very easily and very quickly able to reunite and become a couple and stay together happily. We've been together now for over 5 years. And so really what it comes down to is just peeling back these layers and being your true authentic self. When you do that, and this is why I said in the title, when you do this, it'll be instant. When you peel back the layers enough to a point where you are being your authentic self, your true authentic self, deep down, like the person you would be if you hadn't been conditioned in any way, you hadn't had limiting beliefs imprinted on you. It's almost childlike. It's almost like this reversion back to how you were possibly as a child, when you didn't have these limiting beliefs. You just expressed yourself in the most genuine, authentic way possible, right? Before you cared about what society thought, before you watched a bunch of movies that told you to do a certain thing or have a certain job, before you had your heart broken, who were you then? Your authentic self, that essence. And I'm not saying behave like a child. What I'm saying is that version, that kind of like energetic version of yourself, where you're just being, your true self, is what you kind of need to go back to. And you need to keep peeling these layers of the onion back until you are just yourself, right? Like without worrying about what people think, without your mind and your ego trying to say, no, for example, I need to date this type of person, I can't date this type of person because it doesn't match my, checklist of what I want in a partner, or it's unusual to me, it's unfamiliar. These things are just the ego and the mind ultimately trying to keep you safe and just trying to, ensure that things go smoothly. But this is not a matter of the mind. This is not something you can think your way into. You can't think your way into reuniting with your twin flame. You have to just be your true self. So it's more about being and feeling than it is about thinking and doing. And I think what a lot of people get wrong is they fall into this trap of thinking, right? That it has to do with your mind and it has to do with what you physically are doing. Now, there are things you should do, right? Don't get me wrong. But it's mainly about who you are being. Are you being your true self? Do you feel like you're being your true self? It's also very emotional. It's very much about being in touch with your emotional side and your heart. And when you do that, it happens pretty instantly. Now, of course, this is a short video. I can't go into everything in one video. So if you're probably asking, well, okay, then how do I be my authentic self? That's a topic for a different video. So make sure to subscribe for that. Or check out there's some links in the description to our various, offerings, programs. There's a link to a free video training that we put together for you, showing you how to be more your authentic self. But let me know how this lands for you. Does this feel right to you? Does this make sense? And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.